Hello, my most amazing art students. So today we're going to work on drawing our shell and painting and our background. So you're going to need a piece of paper and a gray crayon is what I used to draw my shell. All right, I'm going to turn this down just to get. And so you need two pieces of paper, actually. You need a piece of paper for your shell, and we're going to cut that out, and then we need a piece of paper for our background. So to begin with, what we need to do is we don't want our shell to be so big that it takes up the whole paper, but we want it to be big enough that it's not super tiny and we can cut it out. So I'm going to start by drawing a spiral line just like that, okay? And then if you notice in the painting, it has kind of a funny little edge right there. So before we cut this out, which we're going to do next week, we're going to go ahead and paint it. Now, I'm going to paint mine with a little bit of blue and maybe some purple, but you can paint yours whatever color you want. And remember how when we looked at it, the middle part was the darkest part of the shell, and then it went out from there. So let me get my one over here. And it was lighter and had some highlights, so you can do that as well. So, just like that. So we did a spiral line, and now we're painting in this spiral motion. And what I think I'm going to do is add a little bit of purple just on some of the edges here, just to give it a little dimension in different colors. And then I'm going to set this aside to dry. Maybe I'll add a little bit purple right there in the middle. There you go, spiraling around. All right, so there's my shell. I'm going to set that off to dry. Then with my second piece of paper, we need to do our background. So I'm going to do mine based off of her Georgia O'Keeffe's shell painting. Here's another one that has that I did that has blue mountains and an orange and pink and purple sky. Or again, like the first one that I showed you guys, where it has, just trying to see, red mountains with the orange and yellow sky. So we need to have some lines that show us where to paint. So the first thing that we're going to draw is our mountains. And I'm just going to do that by starting on the side of my paper and going up a little bit, down, up and down, just like that. And then for my sky, I'm going to do some like wiggly horizontal lines. Just a couple, maybe just two, just like that. And then I'm going to paint those, okay? Get my paintbrush out. And since I painted my shell blue and purple, I think I'm going to paint my mountains red, like the shell painting that I posted today. There's one that has like some seaweed. This is kind of a purpley red color that I've got here. I need to make enough paint so that I can cover this whole area. And the reason I'm painting these red instead of blue is that the shell will stand out on this background. But if I did it the same color, it wouldn't stand out. So move that water around, spreading it all the way across your paper. More paint. And if you want it darker, all you have to do is wait for this to dry, this layer to dry. and then add another layer on top. That's how you get different values. All right, so there is that. And then for my sky, I'm going to go with the orange and yellows and reds. I'm going to go with the orange first. Ooh, that's a nice, pretty orange. There we go. I really enjoy the way Georgia O'Keeffe paints the New Mexico landscape. Kind of simplifies everything down to general forms and colors, and just really like it. So there, I'm gonna spread that out. There we go. So we don't have any puddling, or less puddling, I guess I should say. And then I'm going to do a yellow layer. My yellow has a bit of green, but kind of clean it out some. I keep going in instead of out. Ooh, that was really far. There we go, guys. This is a orangey yellow, but it works. It's still yellow. And then for that very top layer, I'm going to go back into that red and just do a nice bright red. My paper is kind of wanting to pop up because there's so much water on it. So there's this thing that happens with watercolor that's called blooming. What happens right here, like when wet watercolor touches wet watercolor. I actually really like it. Some artists do it on purpose. They love that blooming effect. So I'm going to go and make my mountains a little bit deeper in color by just adding another layer over the top of the one I already painted. It's not quite dry yet, but it's dry enough that it'll accept more pigment. Notice how I'm doing it in the direction of the mountains. I'm painting in the arched mountain so that it gives that shape. Something that makes it look not as flat when you paint like that. There we go. And so when I'm finished with this, what we'll do is we'll set our pieces aside to dry, and then next week we will cut and assemble them. Okay? And maybe there's another Georgia O'Keeffe book that I have in the classroom. Maybe I'll post that one for next week. So thanks for joining me and painting with me today. Have a wonderful day.